What's going on? It's Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper, covering your Milwaukee Brewers every single day here for the Fan Arch Podcast Network. And lots to get to on the show today as we are again closing in on the winter meetings. And lots of activity going to be happening here across baseball as things get underway in Orlando next week. We're seeing some more rumors pop out. We're seeing former Brewers first round pick return to the major leagues in perhaps a different role. We're seeing perhaps a reunion be thrown about with the Brewers. And we're also looking at what needs the Brewers could be addressing here and how they could do it during this offseason. And that's where I want to start here with the need for power with the Milwaukee Brewers, because that's really the only part of this team that you can look at and say there is a deficiency. Because starting pitching, you have an incredibly deep group of talented pitchers to work from. The bullpen was outstanding, and you're returning basically everyone from that group. The lineup, they were able to hit the ball incredibly well all season long. Yes, they struggled in the NLCS, but we know their ability to be woodpeckers up there at the plate. They hit for one of the best averages in baseball. They put up the most runs, had the best run differential. They had so many things going for them offensively in terms of putting runs on the board, but one of the areas they lacked was in home runs, putting the ball over the fence to get runs there on the board. That was the only spot that they were really missing. You look position-wise, for this team, catcher, they're set. First base, they found their answer with Andrew Vaughn. Second base, Bryce Terang, good to go there. Shortstop, maybe you could upgrade offensively, but you got a great defender at that spot in Joey Ortiz. Third base, your third baseman finished third in Rookie of the Year voting. Right field, Sal Frelick, phenomenal. Center field, Jackson Churio was phenomenal. You got Garrett Mitchell coming back. You got Blake Perkins. Isaac Collins was fourth in Rookie of the Year voting. You also got Christian Yelich in there as well as DH. So you've got your big needs, your big positions pretty much covered, but what you could use is a little bit more pop. So how could the Brewers find that? How can they address that? Because as we just ran through with that lineup, all your positions are kind of pretty well set. There's no real kind of spot where you're like, hey, this is a hole on the roster. We can easily add some power to, bring someone in, and that can really increase that output. There's no real pressing need in the starting lineup. The Brewers aren't really losing anyone from their lineup. The one that they're losing is Rhys Hoskins, and Hoskins already was replaced by the time the season ended. He got hurt in July. Andrew Vaughn comes up, and Vaughn immediately takes a job from him. By the time Hoskins is healthy, he doesn't have a job. He got Wally pipped, essentially. And so the Brewers are now ready to go forward for the next couple of years with Andrew Vaughn as their guy at first base. So, their big need is already kind of taken care of. Now you're hoping for a bit more power out of him next season because, he came in and just lit the world on fire. And then he kind of, the power went away for a month. He didn't homer for a month plus there towards the end of the year. So you're looking for a little bit more from him there, but with a full season, and now that he's kind of gotten settled here, perhaps that's what you can expect from Vaughn. But I don't envision the Brewers going out and getting like a Pete Alonso, to fill in there at first base to look for an upgrade there. I just don't see the Brewers shopping in that aisle. So where are you going to go to get that power? Now, a lot of people are going to look at the shortstop position and say, you can upgrade offensively there. And yeah, you probably could. Joey Ortiz really did have a rough season offensively. But again, shortstop is one of those positions where you're willing to trade some offense in order to get exceptional defense. And that's really kind of what you have with Joey Ortiz. The fact that his defense is so good is going to give him those opportunities in the lineup every single day to try and figure some things out. And the Brewers do like him. They do think he has the tools to be strong offensively and put it together. And we saw it a little bit in the first half of 2024 when he first got to the Brewers. So I'd have to think it's still in there. He had a tough start to this year, never really fully got going. But there are still flashes in there. There's still potential. And I think it makes sense for the Brewers to kind of roll with Ortiz for a little bit. Plus, with again, as we've talked about on previous shows here on Brewers Daily, you got a whole bunch of shortstop prospects coming up. So there's really no reason to go out and get a big-time power-hitting shortstop upgrade at that position for a short-term kind of thing. Because the power-hitting shortstops, they're generally not short-term type investments. Third base, you don't necessarily need to move on from Caleb Durbin. Could you upgrade? Maybe. But why do you need to? The Brewers just made trade for Durbin. They traded Williams for him, and I'd have to imagine that they're going to give him a shot. So the spots really aren't all there to bring in a spot, bring in a free agent or even a trade really to upgrade the power on this roster. I think you're going to have to be relying on internal improvements. Look at Bryce Terang, for example. We never really thought Bryce Terang was going to be a power hitter. And now we're looking at it, it's like Bryce Terang probably has the second most left-handed power on the team behind Christian Yelich. I mean, he turned into an absolute power hitter down the stretch. And the Brewers believe that there's more in there. I mean, his batting practice is truly incredible to watch. If you ever get a chance to get to a game early and see Brewers BP, Bryce Terang puts on a show every single day. It is incredible. So I think you can rely a bit more on that. We saw Sal Frelick get a little bit more power output this past year. So I think you can bank on a little bit more power from Bryce Terang next year. I think Ortiz is going to get a little bit better. And perhaps with William Contreras getting his finger issue finally sorted out, finally getting surgery on that, and he should be 100% good to go for next year because the finger clearly sapped him of power in the first half of the season this year. It clearly did. It was clearly bothering him at the plate. That's why he wasn't himself. But next year, now with that finger fully fixed, I'd have to imagine you can see a little bit more pop there from William Contreras. So that can improve your power. Garrett Mitchell coming back. He's got power, for sure. You just need him to stay healthy. And if he can be healthy, he can provide that juice, whether off the bench or as a regular in that outfield. So I think there is certainly power to be gained on this team, but I think a lot of it could come internally from some of their guys and just the development of their young players as they continue to grow older, get more experience, get stronger, get more physically mature. I think you're going to see a little bit more improvement there in the power department without necessarily bringing in someone like a Pete Alonso or some sort of a free agent or trade guy to specifically address that power need. But if the Brewers wanted to, if they were going to look around for some power to add to this team, there is one spot that maybe they could add a little bit just to raise the floor a little bit more offensively. And that brings us to our free agent profile here on the show today. Yoan Moncada. And yes, I know Yoan Moncada has his deficiencies. We'll get into that here in a little bit as we go through it. But look, here's the deal. Because the Brewers, they could use some infield depth. Okay, because as much as you like Bryce Terang, and Caleb Durbin did well, and you have all these guys, they really kind of struggled with depth beyond their starters. I mean, part of the reason they rolled with Joey Ortiz so much is because they really didn't have much else readily available. I mean, you got Andrew Monasterio, who had a pretty good year this past year, really great stretch when Ortiz was out with an injury that he filled in for and earned some opportunities. But Monasterio is not going to bring too much in terms of pop to the team. He can play anywhere. He's kind of your super utility guy. But there are ways to improve off of Andrew Monasterio. Then you got Anthony Siegler beyond that, and Siegler certainly struggled with the big league club. So there's ways to improve the depth there with this club. So Yoan Moncada, he's played 10 years in the big leagues. He's been primarily a third baseman in recent years. He's also played some second base in the past as well. Likely not going to help you out much at short. He just hasn't played there, doesn't have the range for it. But Yoan Moncada can bring power off the bench. This past year for the Los Angeles Angels, played in 84 games, had 12 homers, 783 OPS, and a 116 OPS plus. So offensively, he was 16% above league average. So a player like that, a bat like that, you could certainly stand to add into your lineup. It'd be a major improvement over someone like Anthony Siegler. And even if he only plays in half the games or whatever it is, he's someone who off the bench can provide some thump for you if you need it. He can play out there if you need him to for an extended period. If you need him to start, if Durbin gets hurt or whoever gets hurt, you can put him out there. And he can give you some good at-bats. But there are some deficiencies with him as well. that you have to worry about. But I mean, Moncada having that power, he also walks pretty well. He's maybe somewhat of a three true outcomes kind of guy because he also strikes out quite a bit. But I mean, he's drawn over 11%. He's drawn walks in over 11% of his plate appearances the past 2 years. So that kind of patience is certainly something that the Brewers look for at the plate. The ability to draw the walk. The strikeouts are a bit concerning, but also it is Yoan Moncada. You're kind of expecting him to be a part-time kind of player. And that's kind of the thing. You have to expect him to be a part-time player because he gets injured quite a bit. He's someone who has quite the injury history. And we talk about Garrett Mitchell having been injury prone and missing a lot of time. Yoan Moncada has missed a lot of time as well in his career. I mean, just straight up looking at the numbers over the past couple of seasons. He played in 84 games this past year, 12 games in 2024 before getting hurt and being out for the year, 92 games in 2023, 104 games in 2022. So he's missed a ton of time there. I mean, the last time he was really kind of truly healthy over a full stretch was 2021. He played in 144 games, and he did really well that year. I mean, he hit 263. Put up a 120 WRC plus, drew walks in 13% of his plate appearances, 3.7 WAR on Fangraphs. So, I mean, he had a really good season when he was fully healthy. But that was 2021. That was a while ago that he put together a full season. So there's still some to be desired there because of the injury history. And also looking at his defensive numbers, because defense is important to the Brewers. Yoan Moncada is a pretty bad defender. At least he was this past year. I mean, pretty much all the metrics hated him as a defender there at third base. His range was one of the worst in the league, and negative 13 outs above average. So very kind of poor defender over there at third base, which does not necessarily bode well for the Brewers wanting to bring him in because defense is such an important part of their identity as a team. So having someone who's one of the worst defenders at that position is not necessarily something the Brewers are going to be thrilled about. So that's concerning about this being an idea. But again, it's probably going to be a part-time type of role. Last year he signed for 1 year, $5 million. I would imagine coming off of another season where he missed a ton of time due to injuries, and had those struggles defensively, that perhaps that number could come down a little bit more. Probably looking at another 1 year deal, just in a couple of $1 million range, which would be affordable for the Milwaukee Brewers. They could afford to bring him in on that kind of a deal and just kind of see what he can provide as a veteran utility guy off the bench, just kind of providing some pop, because he can still do that. He can still provide you a little bit of power off the bench. So when you're looking at power bats on the free agent market, you're looking at Kyle Schwarber and you're looking at Pete Alonso. Yeah, those guys are great. Those guys are not in the price range for the Milwaukee Brewers. No matter what happens, they're not even going to be close. Yoan Moncada would be around the price range for the Brewers. He has his deficiencies, yes. But then again, everyone who's going to be in the price range for the Brewers is going to have those kinds of deficiencies. So that's kind of the game that you're going to be playing with, and the Brewers are going to have. Perhaps they can get Matt Erickson working with Yoan Moncada to help him improve his defense. Matt Erickson, the Brewers infield coach, an absolute guru at helping guys out defensively in the infield. Maybe he can work with him and have him turn things around, because William Contreras was a poor defensive catcher when the Brewers got him, and now he's been one of the better defensive catchers in the league the past couple of seasons. You're seeing a lot of guys, make rapid improvements defensively as soon as they come to the Milwaukee Brewers. So maybe there's something in his game, maybe there's something that the Brewers can see and be like, okay, maybe we can turn him into a decent defender over at third base, at least passable at the position. So if that is the case, if they look at him and say, yeah, we can make those kinds of tweaks and we can get him better, then I think Yoan Moncada is definitely a more viable option for the Brewers in free agency here. But that's just kind of a name I think I want to keep an eye on, because if the Brewers are seeking power, one spot that they could upgrade this roster is the backup infield spot. And Yoan Moncada is someone who can provide some pop out of that position, and he would be affordable in the Brewers' price range. Yes, he has injury risk. Yes, he has a history of not being super great defensively, but He's been an above league average bat for quite a while. When he's healthy, he can give you something there. So that's just an area to look, to keep an eye on as the offseason continues here to potentially address the need for power. And another spot that they could apparently look is to the bullpen and Devin Williams. So Mark Feinsand at MLB puts together, perfect free agent fit, trying to put together these deals for every team. And the one that he had for the Brewers was Devin Williams coming back to Milwaukee after the Brewers traded him to New York, and his season in New York going horrible. So, could Devin Williams actually return to the Brewers? I highly doubt it. I'm sorry. I highly doubt that the Brewers would bring Devin Williams back. Like, you can make the argument that after struggling in New York, that he might be better served seeking a one-year pillow contract to try and reset his value and then hit the market again next offseason and try and get some bigger money when he does fantastic as a closer again. Because, hey, why not go back to the place where things were really, really good? Go back to Milwaukee with Chris Hook and be dominant once again. But I just don't see it happening. I don't. I'm sorry, but as fun as it was having Devin Williams on the Brewers and seeing the Airbender and all this stuff, I think that ship sailed. I truly think it did. The Brewers have Trevor McGill, who they could also even trade if they wanted to. They have him as their closer. You got Abner Uribe as well, who seems kind of next in line to be that guy if McGill falters or if they trade him. So I think they have their guys, and they're not going to want to pay, because even on a pillow contract, Williams is going to cost you quite a bit. So even so, I don't see Devin Williams coming back. I appreciate the thought, Mark Feinsand, but Devin Williams and a return to the Brewers just does not make sense for the Brewers. It does not make sense for Devin Williams. There are far too many teams out there needing ninth inning help that would be willing to pay Devin Williams and just kind of banking on him improving after getting out of New York, that it doesn't make much sense for him to take a pillow contract. He's going to get those multi-year offers out there, and I think he's going to end up being just fine, and he's going to find a new home someplace else. I don't see him coming back to the Brewers, as fun as that might be. Speaking of someone coming back, Corey Ray is coming back to the major leagues. Now, Corey Ray was the Brewers' first-round pick in 2016, so he was supposed to be kind of the linchpin to that rebuild because he was number 5 overall pick, and the Brewers had just entered their rebuild. They just traded everyone off in 2015. They fired Ron Renicky. They brought in Craig Counsell as the manager. They traded off everyone at the deadline. They're like, okay, we're going full rebuild. We got David Stearns coming in now, new front office. Everything's changing over. We got a top 5 pick in the draft in 2016. This dude is going to help be the centerpiece of our next contending team. And they picked Corey Ray, power speed threat out of Louisville, and Corey Ray never materialized as a prospect. He had some good years. He got hurt kind of early on, dealt with some injuries. Had a really good year in 2018 on Double-A. The Brewers tried to ship him off, and they weren't able to find any takers for Corey Ray. They couldn't get the value on him that they wanted, and they brought him up for one game. He played in one major league game. They called him up because they needed someone. I believe it was a doubleheader. He drew a walk in his only plate appearance, and then they sent him back down, and he was never seen again at the major league level. And then he's turned to coaching. So he's retired from playing. He's turned to coaching. He was in the Cubs minor league system as a coach, and now the Nationals have hired Corey Ray as a coach to their coaching staff, to Blake Butera's coaching staff. So hey, congratulations to Corey Ray. For a lot of guys, the major league playing career just doesn't pan out. But he found a way to stay in the game. So I'm happy for him that he was able to get that done, and now he's going to be able to get an extended stay here in the big leagues, albeit as a coach. But hey, you got a lot more longevity as a coach than you do a player in this league. So congrats to Corey Ray as the Brewers' former first-round pick makes his way back to the major leagues. So that'll do it for today's show. And we've got a lot more coming up the rest of this week as we're getting ready for the MLB winter meetings, which I'm very excited to be at and doing these shows from while I'm down there in Orlando. So that's going to be coming up next week. But thank you for listening. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified every single time a new episode drops here. Thank you for listening. This has been Brewers Daily.